Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. I am super excited today. We are doing another episode for Real Estate Investing Podcast, and today we have the privilege of having Michael McDonald on. He's a young guy in the real estate investing space and doing some awesome things. Once he actually moved to Vegas, where he's currently at, life really started getting systemized, right? It's the practice of implementing, systemizing, and being able to repeat that process on a regular basis. He's been able to do 30 to 40 flips this year. Huge majority of his lead generation that's coming in, about 60%, he's wholesaling, which is awesome, bringing in some great revenue and helping out other investors, obviously, at the same time. And then he's got 22 units that he's keeping for passive income on a regular basis, and obviously just growing that. So really, it comes down to the lead generation with this guy and systemizing it to be able to cherry pick the good ones, wholesale the rest, and do some fix and flips that are great for making that big chunk of change and keep it moving. So really cool to be able to have this guy on. Also part of the Credit Counsel Elite family, which is awesome and very exciting. But without further ado, Michael, what is up, my friend? How are you today, brother?
Man, I am doing fantastic. Thank you for the amazing introduction, man. Crushed it.
Of course. So anybody out there that doesn't know exactly who you are, where you're from, what you're up to, do you mind just diving in a little bit deeper about your situation?
100%, yeah. So, man, to give people a good understanding of kind of who I am, I live in Las Vegas, but I grew up in small town USA in Nebraska.
Yeah.
The town that most people have probably never heard of. And, when I moved to Lincoln, Nebraska to go to school, everyone always said, hey, go to school, get a good job, and you're going to be happy and all that. So I did. I went there. I moved up there with my high school sweetheart, and she supported me with anything that I wanted to do. But what I realized is once we started to get a house and started having bills, and I started looking at the bills coming in and versus the income coming in, I just realized that this is the life that I wanted to live.
Yeah.
We were scraping by paycheck to paycheck. And in fact, fun fact is when I bought my house at the time, just after college, had the student loan debt, had everything else, we had 3 cents in our checking account the day that we closed. I think it was like $8,000 on like a first-time home buyer loan. We literally had 3 cents left in our name. We were selling stuff to try to pay for the down payment for the house. And so I just want people to understand that I took the regular path and I just wasn't happy and didn't think that that was the way to do it and to live life. And so I just wanted more for my family. And so really how I got started into real estate was one of these, free seminars. They come through town and say, hey, learn how to make money in real estate with little to no money down. And so showed up, my friend pulled me to it and I'm like, hey, what do I have to lose? It's free, right?
Yeah.
Well, little did I know they had something bigger and better to show me, which would change my life forever. And what really happened at that seminar is, number one, I learned about real estate wholesaling and the possibilities that this business can do for a person. But number two is I put my back against the wall because they sold me on the first 3-day event. And I think it was $2,000.
Yeah.
And $2,000 to me, when you're not making any money,
when you got 3 cents in the bank, it's a tough, it's a hard one, right?
Yeah. Because it's like, okay, well, I'm already breaking even, just trying to get ahead. Yeah. And now I put $2,000 on my credit card that I don't have. Mm-hmm. And so what that did is really kind of just made me decide at that point in time, it's either all or nothing. I'm going all in on this. And so I showed up to the next 3-day event, and I'll be damned, man, if they didn't sell me again on their $20,000 package.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought into that. And right after I did that, my wife comes to me and she says, hey, after this event, I I have some like crazy news for you. Like, you won't believe it. I'm like, what happened? She's like, well, she showed me the pregnancy test. Hey, we're expecting. So
yeah,
as if I wasn't motivated before, now I have a new kid on the way.
Yeah, I love it. First one.
So that's how I got started into the business, man. And there's a whole lot to unpack, obviously, throughout that journey. That was just kind of the backstory.
Yeah, no, I love that. And honestly, it's like when your back is against the wall, like you did everything right? Like you went to school, you got prepared, you did what everybody told you to do. And then as you're experiencing that life, you're like, hey, we're still just making it by. I'm not really as fulfilled as I thought I would be in this career path. Like there's got to be something bigger and better out there for me. So that was like first step, right? I wanted to ask why real estate, but before we jump into that, I really love how there's something special. There's something really unique when your back is against the wall and you got nothing. So what is there to lose? Okay, like debt for the first time. I know it's scary, but it's better than being broke on a regular basis, right? Like going all in to see, hey, what are the chances, the opportunity that I can actually make something from this? And you jumped into 2 programs that basically just compounded on top of each other to really lead to it's changed your life at this point, hasn't it?
Yeah, changed my life is really an understatement, man, because coming from like where I grew up at, like the possibilities were so capped, they were so limited, and like making $40,000 a year was like acceptable. And like, that's understanding if that's where you're at and that's what you're okay with, if you're happy, but I just wasn't. So I just knew that there was more, and it didn't just stop there though, because I've always since then have worked on my self-development, continued to improve. And in fact, after that event, when I got home, they called me up and wanted to do a one-on-one mentorship. So I actually invested another 25 grand. And by the way, this was none of my own money. This was all credit actually that they helped me raise. So I had a $50,000 balance on 7 credit cards, and I didn't know how to do deals in real estate yet. The key word is yet. Yeah. And so really, man, you can only imagine how motivated I was, because it was really like, I either figure this out or the 20%, 22% interest kicks in and bankrupt. Like, there's no way I'm going to get out of that once that interest kicks in. And so over the next year and a half, man, is when I was doing my full-time job. And really my wife, one day, she came back home from work. She looked at me, and it was like 6 months into the mentorship. She's like, hey, like, is this going to work out? What's going on here? Like, you haven't got a deal yet. We're making $800 of minimum credit card payments a month. Yeah. What are we going to do? And at that point in time, I'm like, wow, like I really need to figure this out. And so a month later is when I got my first deal, and it happened to just come off of Zillow. And I made $22,000 on that deal.
Let's go.
Yeah. And what's crazy is like, I never made that much money at one time, and $22,000 now is like, that's just like, it's whatever, right?
It's
like
a daily process. Yeah.
Yeah. It's part of the business. Yeah. But at that time it was so life-changing because it was faith to fact. And yeah, man, it's just changed my life forever. So long answer to a short question.
No, I love it. Why real estate for you? Did you have any friends, family, anybody interested in it? Like, why did you go to that weekend event? What changed your life from it?
I think it was really, I didn't have any friends or family in real estate whatsoever. It was just, I started to just focus on, self-development, getting more in life. And I realized that a lot of people who were financially free had real estate. Yeah. And that was really the main thing that attracted me. And then also too, the guys at the program, they really just sold me on the dream. Yeah. It's like, this is what is possible with real estate and how you can do it without little to any risk at all, actually.
Yeah. Thank God for good salesmen, because they were able to literally convince you about the goal, the dream, the promise behind it. And thank God for you to put yourself in a position that your back's against the wall and it's a do or die situation, to be able to like unlock that special thing to really like soak in the knowledge that they were putting into you. And that's what led to the results. I love it.
Yeah. And I was looking for pretty much anything and everything leading up to that. Like I tried, multi-level marketing, all of them. I tried them, and I do a little bit in each one, and then I get bored and shift it. So when I decided real estate, I decided that this is not just like a short-term game. This is a long-term play.
Yep.
And I'm not going to do the jumping around. I'm going to commit to this one thing, get really, really good at it. And once I do, then I can open up more doors and opportunities, which is obviously what I've done since.
So give me the breakdown. That first deal, it was about what, 7 months into it or so, into the coaching? Okay. And what did it look like? It was on Zillow. What were the numbers? Do you recall?
Oh, yeah.
The first one. Yeah.
Remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I still remember picking up that check, but it was a Sunday. And like I said, my 45 hours at the job were filling up majority of the week. So I would call and do stuff on the weekends and the evenings when I could. So yeah, I was just surfing Zillow and happened to find a fourplex in Lincoln that just so happened to be, I think, undervalued a little bit because it was a little bit more of a deferred, kind of a tired landlord situation.
Yeah.
It was probably on Zillow for an hour. I called the guy up and just said, hey, see this property, something I'm really interested in. When can I see it? And didn't even really qualify him. I just jumped right to the appointment. Didn't even know really what was going on, except for I saw his price on there. I'm like, that price might work. So set the appointment, went there, did a little negotiation. I think I offered him $5,000 less than the ask price on Zillow, which was really cheap. So for those listening who might be in California or other parts of the country, this fourplex the guy was asking was $185,000.
Okay.
For a 4-unit apartment building. It was purpose-built brick, just a beautiful building. In fact, I wish I would have kept it, but I just obviously timing and everything. So what happened was got him under contract for $180,000, and I posted it on the Facebook group for the investors and basically blasted it out there to everyone. I think I had asked for 211 on it, or no, it was 195. I was just trying to make a quick 15 and had offers coming in way higher than that. In fact, I had a realtor bring an investor of hers, and I think their offer was 211. And so when it was all said and done, we assigned it for 211. And after fees and splits and everything like that, the check at closing was $22,000. But I share the end result. That deal did not go smooth whatsoever.
What were some of the learning curves on it?
Well, the buyer had a line of credit on it, and it was a little bit more restrictive than a cash offer should have been. And so typically when we buy a house or a property as is, the seller doesn't think we're having inspections. The seller doesn't think we're having appraisals, anything like that. So to my surprise, after I accepted this amazing offer, he comes in with an inspection. It's a COC, so the city has to certify it. And XYZ has to be repaired before they can even close on it with a bank, even though it's a line of credit. And on top of that, there was an appraisal being done. And I'll never forget, man, that appraiser and the seller were standing right next to me. I was there trying to facilitate this. He comes up to the seller and he says, help me understand this. I'm super confused here. Your purchase price is $180,000, but it needs to appraise for $211. Can you help me understand that? And I didn't know what I was doing. I just drew a blank. I'm like, holy shit, I got to explain what's going on here. So I literally,
let me take you over here.
Yeah. And the seller looked at me and he's like, man, I really undersold this thing. And I was like, well, I'm bringing in, my partner on it or whatever, and just had to smooth it over. But it was not smooth whatsoever because I actually got into the weeds of it, and I had to go in there and I started fixing things like door hinges and all the stuff that the COC required. So it was extremely stressful, but I knew I had to get that deal to the finish line because I had $50,000 in credit cards to pay back.
Yeah. So how long did it take to actually close that deal from beginning to end? It
was about 45 days. It wasn't a quick process by any means. I think we gave ourselves about a month and a half.
I love it. And then, so were you in communication in the beginning with the seller that, hey, I might be wholesaling this, or did you say hey, I could be potentially partnering with somebody that I could be making money off of this?
Yeah. So I didn't really communicate it as clearly as I probably should have, and as much as we do now, just because you have to be transparent in those situations. Because what I said is, I think we're just bringing partners in on it.
Yeah.
Well, partners could mean one person, and most people think one person. I think 15 people showed up to see the building.
Yeah. It's a lot of partners, brother.
It is a lot of partners. And I think, the terminology we used at the time is, it was my mentor helped me on the deal, because I actually hired, on top of the $50,000, I hired another person to help kind of guided me the way. He was local to my market.
Sure.
We did some deals together, so on and so forth. But yeah, bottom line is, man, didn't set very clear expectations. And I just didn't know what I was doing. It was my first deal.
I love it. But I mean, it was profitable. You pushed through it, even getting in there and getting the little things done, which adds up to a lot at the end of the day. So it's very cool that you stayed persistent because you had that pressure, over your head of like, hey, do or die situation. You got a baby on the way now. Time to really, start moving the needle forward, which is awesome. So what was the next deal after that? What did that look like?
Man, couldn't have been as exciting as that one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, it's been a lot of deals ago, but I want to say it was a single family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we sent them some mail or something. They had called in on it.
Yeah.
Got the property under contract. And then, I think I made like 5,000 or 10,000 on the second deal.
And then like roughly how long after that first one?
Pretty quickly. I started picking up some momentum pretty quick after that. Yeah. Cause I actually had a little bit of money to like take a deep breath and put some money into marketing. And so I basically had those credit cards maxed out until I got that $20,000 deal. So yeah, I think like a month or so after the fact. And then
what I've noticed is like, it typically takes about 3 deals roughly from students that I helped in the past. And even like my first beginning, it was like my first 3 deals and then it just started running. It was like after that, it just all started aligning and like it made sense. It clicked. So
yeah, it wasn't easy though, because that would have came in July. And I think from July to the end of the year, I think I got about 6 more deals.
Okay.
Which probably 1 a month-ish to the end of the year. And after that, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I know how to make money in real estate now.
I love it. So, and what were you doing for the full-time job at the time? Because you're just doing real estate part-time in the very beginning for what, the first year and a half or so?
Yeah. It was for the first year and a half. So during that time, as I was working for it was like a healthy food company. They served like ready to eat, healthy to go meals. Mm-hmm. It's called Eat Fit Go. And I was doing business development and some just miscellaneous stuff. It was a new company. So there was a lot of different hats I wore at the time. But that's what I was doing. And everyone who I worked with knew that, I wasn't going to be there forever. I was just doing it to get through to my business.
I love it. Okay. So lead generation, right? After about a year and a half, you felt the confidence, you boldness, you got a bunch of deals under the belt, 1 every other month at that point, or 1 per month. What did it look like actually moving forward? Did you start building out a team? Was it all just you? How did you wear so many hats in the real estate space to be able to build up what you've built today?
Yeah, so I was wearing every single hat, and it was essentially just always investing back into marketing and just understanding what kind of a business we're in. And it truly is a marketing company. If you want to make this a long-term sustainable business, you must put back into marketing because that's what generates the leads and ultimately what makes you money. Yeah. And so what that really looked like is every time I would get a deal, I would pay back some debt, and then I would take some money and I would start another campaign. But really before I had a whole lot of money to contribute is just hustling, man. My wife remembers when I was out knocking doors on the weekends and cold calling, and just sounded like a fool cold calling people because you didn't know what you didn't know. And then eventually started getting, some more consistent income, started running some direct mail campaigns, and then, just figuring out what was working and then fine tuning that and then putting more back into that. But for the first 2 years, it was just me. It was just me, and my wife would help me every now and then. I was printing out postcards and handwriting all the addresses that I would drive for dollars and find. So, I was really just grinding. Yeah.
We've done that in the very beginning too. We got pictures of like a whole stack of just envelopes, and Jennifer and I like going through everything. We got a stamper for our address and everything. It was so funny. But
looking back, I wish I would have taken more pictures, man.
Yeah, I know.
Journey.
It's cool to see that progress over time to like where you guys are at now. It's very rewarding and super inspiring. But let me ask, when it comes down to your first hire, what did that look like? What position?
So the first hire was really just the data management, the virtual assistant. And that person was, in the Philippines, and they were like a $4 or $5 an hour position. And they really just kind of helped me with managing all the data, helping me maybe set some campaigns up, run the campaigns, and field calls every now and then. The day that I missed out on probably a $50,000 to $70,000 deal that, in fact, my business partner today bought from another guy, and the other guy made about $70,000 off of it. And it should have been my deal because I was at work and I missed that call. I'll just never forget that day, man. I was like just disgusted because I'm like, that should have been my deal. After that, I found an answering service who'd pick up calls for me during the day because my whole goal was to just get the phone to ring.
Yeah.
So I wasn't on offense. I mean, I'm always going to be on offense to some extent.
Sure.
But the goal with this is I saw this vision, and what other people have been able to do is just to build this out like a legitimate business where people just know who we are.
Yeah.
They look us up, they call us. We have a way to field all those calls. So the next hire from there was just kind of like a lead manager / transaction coordinator to start handling the tedious conversations and transactions.
Yeah. So you talked about how important it is to really focus on the marketing aspect, because that's really the business that we're in for serving other people. You need the phone to ring. You need people to actually know who you are to reach out to you as the only option, right? So I've noticed that you actually have something pretty special when it comes down to your marketing and lead generation. What do you think it is? Like, how many different platforms are you using for marketing, and how do you get so many leads to truly come in?
Yeah. So one thing that was important to me building this up is like realizing, again, this is a long-term business. So we're not just going to create a fly-by-night company and go under the radar with everything. We're going to get ourselves on the map.
Yep.
And we want people to know who we are. And so every time that we would close a deal, we would get a testimonial from people. We would put that online. We would put it on Facebook. We would put it on Google. We would put it on the Better Business Bureau. Yep. Everyone's going to know who we are and what we do and the quality of business that we do. And so what started to happen is we just kept closing more deals and getting more and more of those. And so eventually we're on all of these platforms, and it just builds brand awareness.
Yeah.
And people already trust you before they call in to do business. So it's like, hey, I've already done my homework. Like, let's do business.
Yeah.
It's like, perfect.
That's so good. So how are you getting them to even see who you guys are? Is it direct mail, cold calling? Is it pay-per-click? Like, what does that look like?
So it's obviously morphed a little bit over the years, but in the beginning it was cold calling and direct mail. We still do some of that today, but it's more heavy on the online paid advertising.
Okay.
And so now what our marketing looks like is we're on TV. So I have commercials all over the state. We are on Google. So we do Google ads. We have Facebook ads and direct mail, cold calling. Basically anything that generates leads. We've done billboards before.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean,
what was the ROI on the billboards? I'm curious about that because I've heard certain people just like, there's one guy that I know, I think I had him on the podcast a long time ago, but he only does that. And that's like his bread and butter.
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah. Like slim to none, right? It's really, it depends.
It was quite the experience. So
yeah,
crazy story, man. We had billboards up for, I think it was either 6 months or a year.
Yeah. It's like 3 days and you're like, take them down.
Billboards were just slow turtle speed going and weren't getting a whole lot of results. And then on the very last day of our campaign, I'll be damned if somebody didn't call who was super motivated. And in fact, we just closed that deal on the sales side. And that was the only deal we got from billboards.
Yeah. Okay. What did it bring in, if you don't mind me asking, roughly?
It's about 40,000.
40,000. And then if you don't mind, how much did it cost to keep it up, that marketing?
25,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the best, but at the end of the day, I mean, the brand awareness, it did make a profit at the end of the day. Thank God on the very last day, but it could have been something that, I mean, you did make an ROI on it. If you would go for another year, just having that expansion from it, who knows? Maybe it could have spiraled and a couple weeks later you get another one, because even direct mail marketing, it can take a year to 2 years down the road sometimes of the continuous follow up, and they just pile up this huge pile of all your letters. And then when they're ready, they might call everybody that they've piled up,
I think that's what's important to understand is just the brand awareness. And we were okay with it. Like when that last day or week was coming around, I'm like, like no return on investment on this one. We just accepted it and just realized this is just the cost of doing business. And, people don't know about us unless we market. And so I think that's where a lot of people might have fear and kind of not quite make it far enough in the long term of this is just because of they give up just too soon, just right before that deal comes in or right before that campaign hits. They just
3 feet from gold type of situation. It's like you're that close and then you give up and and we're so trained nowadays, like millennials especially. It's the only thing that I'm really frustrated about us the most, that the simple fact that like we want everything now. It's like we want the fast track to everything, and it's not so instant. Sometimes it does take 6 months to a year to 2 years in some cases, and it's like, and that's okay when you're talking about the big picture of your full life being changed and the impact that you're making on all these families as well, which is huge. How many deals have you guys done roughly 2021 last year?
Yeah, we finished out the year with 85.
85. I love it, man. So, I mean, you've been in the game now like for full time about 2.5 years and 85 deals well under your belt just in the last year alone, which is huge. And it's only constantly growing. So the TV channel as well for lead generation, I'm very curious about that. That's a unique one. What does that look like? Is that you with like a cup of coffee, like looking good on TV and be like, hey, call us? Or what does that look like?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit fancier than me just holding a cup of coffee, obviously. But I had somebody come to my house and with the green screen, the professional photography and everything, and they recorded it. And we air on a few different networks. And, it's been interesting. It's been one of those channels where there's a lot of leads coming in, but it seems like there's more tire kickers. It's like, your grandma's on just hanging out watching TV and all of a sudden she's just bored and she wants to call and talk to Michael. Yeah. And thank God I'm not answering the phone. Like my mom she works in an environment like a senior center where the people are, I see your son on TV all the time and I'm going to call him up. And she's like, no, don't call him. Like, he's not going to talk to you.
Money or his time, please. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's just been interesting in that, we've definitely done some deals from it. ROI, probably not as good as I expected, but overall, once again, we're not losing money. So in my mind, it still makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool. And then how much is that roughly to get on TV?
Do you really want to know?
I do. Is it heartbreaking or what?
No, it's $12,000 a month.
Okay. Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you're making an ROI, then it is what it is. A lot of people don't realize this too. And that's why credit is so crucial and it's important, because you can really take, if you're broke right now and you need money to get yourself out there, it's the personal brand, right? And personal brand's not going to happen overnight. So in that case, you're going to have to pay for marketing to get yourself in front of everybody. And then it's that know, like, and trust factor. They got to know you first. So you got to get in front of them. And you usually have to pay for that. Over the long term, you can build out the personal brand so strong that you don't necessarily need to pay, but you paid within time. Because time you're never going to get back. It's the most valuable thing. So at the end of the day, that's like something you really do need to consider. But there's so many ways that if you use the credit when you're broke to be able to pay for the marketing out here in San Diego. The prices aren't cheap. It costs roughly about $10,000 just on the marketing piece to actually get your first deal. In other markets, it may be closer to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, right? But the price margins can be different too. So it's important to have the credit, have the money or resources to be able to pay for the marketing to get the lead generation coming in. And I love how you've dipped your feet in all these different platforms, like creative stuff that other people might not be trying, and it's paying off at the end of the day.
Yeah, man, it's been really crazy learning experience, like just trying all of them. Like at first, I actually didn't mention this, but I was the bandit sign guy. Like I had Michael buys houses all over town. Yep. And people started recognizing, like, who the heck is this Michael guy? He's got signs everywhere. And so like the city started calling me and all that. But at the end of the day, what I think is really important takeaway for anyone listening who's like, okay, I don't have $12,000 a month. I don't have to spend on marketing, is like, just start with one. Yeah. And just get really, really, really good at it and track your numbers, know exactly how much you spend on the marketing. That way, when you get a deal, you can be like, oh, okay, well, this deal cost me $4,000 and I spent, this is how much I spent to get this deal, but the deal may be 20.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you could do a 4X return on every single thing you do, wouldn't you keep doing it?
Yeah. Is it worth it? Yeah, it is. Yeah. But it's important, like you said, to know your KPIs and don't give up 3 feet from gold. And I made both of those mistakes originally. I got too impatient on the direct mail marketing and I wasn't keeping track of the ROI on it. I didn't know necessarily how much I was paying each month for the direct mail marketing. I just knew the time and energy it took from me and I was getting tired from it. I was getting worn down. But realistically, I put in maybe 6 to 7 months, and it's like, it's that it can take a year. It can take longer than that, but it took you 7 months, right? I could have been one deal away from making 100,000 or so. And that's the thing. You don't want to give up, but also track your KPIs until you get that first deal to actually see, hey, is this worth it to keep going down this route or should we switch it up? But I do love that. What kind of learning curves have you experienced that you wish you would have known when you first started out as basically a marketer, to be able to bring in these leads? Is there anything that you could give the audience as like, hey, man, this is what I learned and this is what I will never do again, do these things and it will help you out so much?
Yeah. I think number one is to, like I said before, is just don't get too much of a shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
And just pick one channel and go all in with it. But also don't feel like you have to do everything yourself. Look for partnerships, look for people that you can add value to help.
Yeah.
When in return could bring you back some, experience or money by just adding that value. And so I had a company who is very established in the area who basically offered me a job to work for them. And I turned it down because I had another guy who was wanting to partner with me. And so if you can find somebody who you can add value to and you can join forces together, you're going to go a lot further faster. And that's really what attributes to I think a lot of my successes. It's funny, my business partner was just giving me crap about this. He's like, hey, that phone call that you made when you called me that one day off that for rent sign is the best phone call you ever made. And I'm like, dude, you're full of it. You're funny. But anyway, yeah, long story short, I met my business partner by calling a cold for rent sign, seeing if he wanted to sell his property. And at that time, he's like, okay, this guy's onto something. We had lunch and we became business partners. But yeah, I guess those are the few things that I would say that you would want to do to save yourself maybe a headache or a lot of time and energy. Don't feel like you have to do everything. So all the data work is brutal. Find a VA, pay him $4 an hour to do it.
Yep.
If you don't like cold calling, find somebody to pay to do cold calling.
Yeah. You just mentioned two things that are so crucial when it comes down to you saw a for rent sign. That's not a for sale sign, guys, but that's a for rent sign. And you're still calling. You're still taking the time because what does it take? It takes 30 seconds to dial the number and see like, hey, are you the owner? Cool. I'm not interested in renting, but I am an investor. I'm looking to purchase. Are you interested in selling? Are you tired of your last tenants that you just had? And you never know. And that's just that's the persistence, the willingness to go above and beyond and a do or die situation. When your back's against the wall, it's like, I'm going to do anything and everything that it takes to be able to get any type of deal. I'm looking around at all these houses as I'm driving around or I'm walking down the street. It's like there's houses everywhere. Somebody's got to want to sell. I just need to talk to everybody. So that shows your character right there. And that's what it's going to take if you're brand new as a real estate investor trying to get started and might be broke and have 3 cents in your pocket. It's like, that's the type of work ethic that needs to take place to be able to get those results. But then also, you don't need to do it by yourself. You met an actual business partner from that phone call, which is a huge blessing. And it will, that's what happens. I've done it the same thing as well. I've met many good relationships, good investors that I've networked with, helped out in certain ways on both sides. And 50% of a deal or whatever type of percentage is better than zero. Right. So it's like if you can learn from their learning curves that they've already experienced and save you time, save you money and get something out of it, then man, it can help out in so many ways. So kudos to you for not being like macho man, like I'm going to do this by myself and, be prideful of it, because you can do that in the future when you're a rock star at it. But for now, you can go so much further with partnering up with an amazing, partnership to make that happen. I love it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And one thing to add to that is with partnering with people is realize that there's more than enough to go around for everyone.
Yes.
And put yourself in a room where people are doing deals. And the best thing that ever happened to me is when I went to that real estate meetup, where I was so uncomfortable to go around all these intimidating investors, right? But what I found is everyone's like, the most successful people are the most willing to help and give back, which is why I'm so passionate about doing the same. But when I put myself in a room with people doing deals and talking about deals, all of a sudden I started doing deals.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow.
It's powerful. Right? Putting yourself in that circle, right? Like getting yourself in the room is the next level as well. And that's, that's what it takes sometimes to invest in yourself, to get yourself around that proximity. Even just going to a RIA group, it's like they're not free for a reason. It's like, and some can be, but it's like meetups, so it's like there's value at these groups, and just getting yourself in the room, networking with them can really be that life-changing experience. Well, you mentioned something, you got the heart to serve, just like some of the most successful people that you've learned from over the years to get your success. You got some things coming up right now, right? Like you got a course on the way to be able to help out more people. It's not like $1 trillion. There's actually like a retarded amount of knowledge and resources people can take advantage of to be able, like stuff that you implement on a daily basis to be able to get the same results that they can learn from. Do you mind just diving in a little bit about it, how they can get more info as well?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thanks for asking. So really, like you said, is I've done the school of hard knocks. I've went through all the mistakes. And so what I really wanted to create is like just the step A to Z on how to find these deals.
Yeah.
And in a competitive market, because let's be honest, like inventory's at a low right now, and we're still finding 85 deals this year. And so really is like put all that into a package and A to Z on how to wholesale, how to find the deals. And yeah, I'm just passionate about helping and giving back to others, because I don't want to see somebody spend the $50,000 on a dinosaur old school course. Not to say that I wasn't motivated, but it just wasn't keeping up with the times. Some of those strategies, had I continued to do them, which was one of those was making offers on the MLS, I wouldn't be in business, because there's just not enough of a pipeline to do that from my experience. I know people who teach on it and do well, but long story short, yes, I have a course, and it's called the Virtual Millionaire. And essentially you can send me a DM to learn more about it. I can send you the link to that. But yeah, Michael Buys Houses on Instagram, and you can definitely check me out there and shoot me a DM with invest, and I'll send you the information for that.
I love it. So what is the Instagram, and then do you have Facebook or email? Whatever ways that you want to kind of plug out there.
Sure. So Instagram is Michael Buys Houses.
Buys Houses, cool. Michael's Buys Houses.
Yep, you can follow my journey there. Doing a better job of just sharing what I have going on and more about the actual journey. And then on Facebook, it's the Michael McDonald and at the Virtual Millionaire. And then on YouTube, it's the Michael McDonald as well. Cool. And I do interviews and a podcast on there as well.
Love it. Cool. Well, guys, you definitely want to take advantage of this. Like he was saying, it's like it's not the old outdated stuff that isn't necessarily working. This stuff works. He's implementing it. He's doing it. It's modern. It's up to point. He got 85 deals last year. He's making money from it, right? To say the very least. And his heart's in the right place, that he's already making money in real estate. He doesn't need to teach it. But what I can personally testify behind, and I know his heart is exactly the same, is that the fulfillment of truly serving more people, because he acknowledges the pain of the 3 cents in the bank account. He knows what it's like when he's in 50 grand worth of debt, and his wife comes up to him 6 months down the road of implementing all this stuff that they're teaching him and not getting the results yet. And his wife is like, hey, we got one on the way. We got a baby on the way. The pressure, just soaking all that in, it's like, dude, this is a do or die situation. He was very successful at it at this point, but there's so much more that you guys can learn from Michael. So I do encourage you guys to check out everything that he's got going on. He's an open book as well. Great individual to connect with. So any missing pieces that you're having right now, he'll be able to put it together. So with all that being said, reach out to him. Don't waste his time. Don't waste your own time. Time is so limited. It's our biggest asset. It's our biggest value. So make the commitment by simply jumping on a phone call with him or DM him on any of the social media that he's reached out. We'll put it in the show notes as well. So be sure to take a look at that for convenience purposes. But with that being said, any final thoughts that you want to give to the listeners for today?
Yeah, you have one life, so go and live it. I think too many people just, think that life is never ending. And honestly, like sometimes it just takes I don't know, I never had this, but like just a near death experience or like going to a funeral or seeing a family member die from COVID or whatever the case may be to realize that you don't want to wake up when you're on your deathbed and wish you would have.
Yeah.
So do it, get uncomfortable, take action now, and you'll be happy you did.
Yeah, I love that. That is so good. It's so important to realize like we all on a huge majority really live as if like we got infinite amount of years or we got time, we got all this, when we're not even guaranteed, this afternoon, let alone tomorrow. So it's like, there's so much to be done. There's such an impact that needs to be made. And we got our families that we care about and we want to be able to bless and leave a legacy. So it's up to you, it's like up to each and every individual person listening to this to take action. And how bad do you want it, right? Like, what is it going to take to actually move that needle forward? So Michael, bro, I appreciate you so much. I got nothing but respect and love for you, bro. Really excited for what you've accomplished thus far, and really just super excited to see what you do with it in the future, like where you truly take your business. I know you did 85 deals last year. Really, I can't wait to have you on at the end of this year to see like what you did with 2022. It's going to be a big year for you, brother. So I appreciate you so much. For all the listeners out there, if you guys want to reach out to me, you can always do so on Instagram. It's Brandon Elliott Investments. Otherwise, Facebook.com/Brandon Elliott Investor. If you're looking for any credit repair done for you services, you can always reach out at creditrepairmobile.com. Otherwise, if you're looking to get educated on credit, really understanding how the banks and lenders are judging you, how to fix credit, talking very quickly within hours to 10 business days, or even afterwards, like building up massive amounts of credit, several six figures, even seven figures on the business side, and then leveraging it, putting it to work, purchasing properties with credit cards, putting it in marketing, right, to get a strong ROI, e-commerce, you name it, then you might want to check out creditcounselelite.com. You can check out our latest webinar. We got one coming up next week as well. So yeah, it would be a blessed fit for you if it makes sense. So make sure to just check out creditcounselelite.com and you can check out the webinar right there. But with that being said, guys, if you haven't already subscribed to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, what are you waiting for? I promise it will change your life. Just like this video right here and this episode, nothing but amazing content, over 200 episodes with amazing, I think we got like 600-700 5-star reviews. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button. You get the newest notification every single Monday. Leave a 5-star review as well. Let us know how you guys feel about it. Greatly appreciate all your support and love. As always, we will see you on the next episode next Monday. Till next time, guys, stay blessed. Michael, appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
God bless.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.